some innovative products that we have that are coming out. I'm sure you guys have seen the Commander stuff. Everybody went to see some of that yesterday. We're going to talk about some of the other stuff that's innovative in our company that we have going on right now. Some of the things like the Conquest products that we have coming up, the new Connect Lite app that we have that's coming out, that just came out, was released. I don't know if anybody's seen that or not. The BAC 5901 expanded memory, we're going to get more into that. The expansion input, 16 inputs, no outputs. The router. How many people use the router? Like the router? Router is like the rock star, right? That thing is awesome. So the other one is the KMD translator. Has anybody heard of the translator? Yep. If you've used if you've got some old legacy product out there that's got you're still chunking along, still works great, but they want to get it up to the next level, we'll show you how to do that. And some new things in Connect. Connect's our software engineering software that we use, or software engineering. So some of the things that are in there, the scheduled backnet backups is a nice new feature. The compare feature, which will allow you to compare one thing in your library to something else that's live, or two things that are in your library. We'll show you how that works. And Converge. Converge is our Niagara product. And some of the things that are in Converge are the Niagara compatibility mode and the fingerprinting option, and we're going to get into the GFX as well. Show you how all that works. So today we're going to put together a little job. We're going to download some apps. We're going to show you how the Connect Lite app looks, what it looks like. We're going to deploy some applications to our controllers. Everything on that panel over there is live. So we're going to deploy some standard apps to the BAC 9001, which is a VAV controller. We're going to audit our job. We'll discover the controllers in Niagara and bring in the points using the fingerprint function in Converge. And we'll explain what that means. Make a mobile graphic using the GFX. We really want to show you how easy it is to use the tools. So there's tools that we have in there that we're trying to make this installation for you as quick and easily as possible. So one of the new products that we have coming up, which we're not really doing a demo of today, but we're going to talk about, is the KMD 5551E, which is the translator, what we call the translator. So it's a gateway between BACnet and KM Digital Networks. It's a browser configuration. It looks just like the router. In fact, it's in the same box as the router, but it has a little bit different label on it. It automatically learns networks and configures routing for the discovered, not BACnet network, but KMD network. It makes a BACnet network. So it's got diagnostic. Yeah, go back one more slide.
Sorry.
That's okay. So it makes diagnostic and status displays. So what this thing does is you hook it up to your KMD LAN. If anybody's familiar with that, you've got a LAN gate. Then off of that LAN gate, you've got two different networks usually. So you take a network off of the LAN gate and put a router in there. It'll discover the points off of the LAN gate and one of those branches off and automatically pull in all the points. Makes a virtual controller that's BACnet.
So you need one of those for each sub-LAN?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So one would do the LAN and the subnet, and the other one would do the other subnet. So, and you can also change the device ID to whatever you need it to be on your new network inside here. So when you go to Niagara, pull in all those points, it'll go out and discover them just like it would a BACnet controller.
Does it have any size limitations to the size of that subnet?
Nope.
Well, yeah. We'd like to see it around 32 devices.
If you've got 90 controllers out there on a subnet, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
But you should have gone by the rules of installation, I guess, when you put it in.
Yeah, we like to see it around 32 devices.
Yeah.
So. per translator.
Now, would that include box controllers?
Like VAV box, you mean?
Right.
Or- Yeah, yeah. Any controller, 32 controllers.
Anything.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
what do you do if you got more than that on? So then-
Split it,
You'd have
and
to
then
add
use
another
another
one.
translator.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so you keep it on the same LAN, on the same controller, just add these guys in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So you actually physically split the network off?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you just go halfway, and either you can run it back to a central point, or you can go mount that translator out where
Yeah.
you split it or break it.
Yeah, if you've got Ethernet near where you're splitting that out, you can just put it right there. There's a module that's inside the Niagara that it has to go out and ping that every so often to say, hey, I've got a license, I'm viable, and it'll go out and ping those every so often to keep them online. Controllers.
Controllers or devices, yeah. Around that,
Yeah.
you know,
Your LAN gate could have a lot of points.
yeah.
It could be,
If you just have a network of VAV boxes that you don't have a lot of points or something, you know, you can probably go up, stretch it to 40 or
yep.
45, but
124.
that'd be a little, yeah, that'd be about 3, maybe?
Yeah, we also recommend slowing down that polling a little bit on your Niagara side too. I changed that to slow, so it's not hitting it so hard. I think normal is like every 5 seconds or something.
5 seconds is
Yeah.
normal, and then
So we
the
bumped that
slow
up
is
to like,
around
10,
a minute.
15 seconds polling. It helps it out. So let's talk a little bit about the router. So we've got some new firmware that's being sent out as we speak, right? Any day.
It'll be released next week.
Any day. By the time you get back home, it'll be out for you guys to download. So some new looks, new diagnostics, VAV balance with overrides. The MSTP capture obviously is a great feature. Greg, if you want to go and
pull
pull it up, it's 192.2, yeah, right? Yeah, you got it. So this is the one that's on the demo board right there. You can see it's really a lot of the same things. It just has a nice new look to it. Some of the newest things that are in there are in the balancing side.
What was the
104.001, I think. Amazing, I remembered that. So pick on one of those, and then you see there's the configure page for your balancing. There's the balancing tab, so, and then the command page is where we've done some new things. So you scroll down a little bit. So primary flow, VAV fan, VAV reheat. So these are some functions now that you can override in here on each of these VAVs as you're going through, doing some commissioning. So if you want to check out the commissioning for the VAV fan, you can change the speed. If you want to change the VAV reheat, whether it's modulating or staged, you can do that. And you notice when he hits the command button, this command function turns green. The icon in the top will turn green. So it'll tell you that you've got something overridden. It kind of alerts you. That override is being done at a priority 8, just like it would any other kind of an override. So if you were in the system, you would see that there's something being overridden.
And it stays, so you can
Yeah,
go and
it's-
command all the valves or fans.
it's gonna stay there.
and-
Correct.
Do you have to relinquish each point individually, or is there like one main relinquish, you can relinquish everything when you're done?
No, you got to do each individually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you do air hammer stuff?
You can't see the air handler from here, any
No.
of the air handler points, but you can override all the valves and the dampers open, so.
So the MSTP capture is really nice if you are trying to diagnose your network. You've got some issues with you've gone and looked at the token use.
Oop.
Hold
on.
And
I'm going to start
sure.
a capture. Sorry.
so you've gone and looked at your token use and trying to figure out what's going on. So this is a really nice page that you can kind of see what's going on with your network. The green, less than 100 milliseconds, yellow, red. If you got some things that are bumping in yellow, it's holding on to that token a little bit too long. If it's in red, it's really holding on to it. So you can kind of diagnose pretty quick what's going on out there on your network. Now, if you had your max master set to, say, 10, it's not going to scan anything past that. We don't have our max master set on this one, so it's scanning the whole network. So the MSTP capture will go out and capture that communication that's going on. You don't need to let it run for very long. It's going to capture quite a bit of things. If you let that run for just a couple of minutes, it's going to get quite a bit of information.
That's a nice feature.
So you can take that download that he just did and hit that download capture. Yeah, and just put that on the desktop if you want to. And then he can go and open that. It'll open it by default in Wireshark. And Wireshark is a tool you can use to really get into see what's going on diagnostically with your network. If you're not familiar with Wireshark, send it to one of our tech support guys or send it to us. We can look at it for you and kind of give you an idea of what's going on. I know I've sent some things into the office before working on some networks, and within, I don't know, a few minutes they called me back and said, hey, go look at module number 9, number 10. And sure enough, I go and I'm like, okay. It was some Belimo energy valve. I'm like, well, this thing's holding on to the token way longer than it should. It was having issues. Took those off of the network. Everything worked great after that. Well, it turned out Belimo came out later, I think, and figured out that they had some firmware issues with theirs. So they updated their firmware, put it back online, everything was happy. But yeah, the router I think is it's really the rock star of what we have. I love this product. It really does a lot of, and I think it's going to get better and better. So let's talk a little bit about the new stuff on the new 5901. And I might let Eric expand on this a little bit too. So the back 5901 is really not, I would say, it's not truly a building controller. What?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, you had that look like you wanted to say something.
No, not yet.
So it is expandable out to 41 points, but here's where we are right now currently as far as what it has internally. Here is what we're going to have very soon. So you can see everything is almost doubled. So your files, 300. We went from object type from 2 megabyte to 4 megabyte. So your binary values went from 80 to 300. Analog values are up to 300. Event enrollment from 40 to 100. You can have up to 30 programs running now. So
50 loops.
50 loops. It's crazy. And I might add, Eric, you would think, what's the price of this going to be? Really? No. It's not double. What is it?
This will be a rolling change. The next firmware release will support the expanded objects. There is a hardware release coming that'll roll out this spring that bumps that memory so you can take advantage of all the additional capacity of that hardware. the firmware is smart enough to recognize if it's running on old hardware or new, and it'll determine, hey, you can create additional analog values or binary values when that hardware comes out.
And it's the same price. I thought I'd throw that in. So,
If we ready this spring?
yep. So the CAN 5902 is a new expansion module. 16 inputs only, no outputs. So you can mix and match your different expansion modules that you'll need.
You can mix it out with 5901 and 5902 on the same.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're
So-
just needing more inputs, this is your part you need.
And these inputs go up, right? They start up a little higher, like 40 number-wise.
Yes.
So you can swap out, and you're not going to disturb where they're at or their number for your programs and stuff. So
Very handy. I think there's been a big need for this. People just want inputs. They're universal.
yeah.
Yep.
So the 5901 is all universal, and
You can
all
switch
the
'em?
expansion cards.
I didn't see the
Yep.
word, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that controller is all ins and outs are universal.
Yep.
So yeah.
Very cool.
And let's talk about some of our new features in Connect. So one of the new ones is this the BACnet backup. So underneath the system monitor, if you right-click on that guy, Device Backup Manager. So new screen. So you can hit Add Schedule down at the bottom.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You can name it whatever you'd like. Greg's schedule, day 2, whatever. And then you say, how frequent do I want to do that? How often do I want to? Monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, custom, you decide. So, and then you say, okay, what kind of a backup do I want to do? Do I want to do a BACnet backup? Do I want to do a B&D backup? A BACnet backup is going to be just for worst case scenario, things have gone horribly wrong, I just have got to replace a controller and put something right back in it that was in there before. I can't do anything with it other than put it right back into that controller. A B&D backup is a complete backup of all the objects, file objects that are inside there. You can completely take it apart. You can use each individual piece as part. So if you've got something in there that's just a schedule or a program or AVs, whatever you want to use it for, you can. That's a B&D backup. So bit of a difference. A B&D backup is also going to take more time because it's getting a lot more information. A BACnet backup is going to be fairly quick because it's just taking a snapshot and compressing it and not giving you the option to take it apart. So once he's got that, he can drag and drop the whole network over there if he wants to. Yep. Or you could just drag the whole BACnet network over there too if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. Hit save configuration and it'll do its thing.
I better enable it.
So instead of having to worry about going in and making backups, it'll do the backups for you. Now, we're going to deploy these VAVs and air handlers and rooftop unit before we go on break. But let's talk a little bit about our application library. So if we go to Applications and go to Selection, so it's going to load our library for us. And I've already got a job in there. It's called Training. it's looking by default at the KMC standard library, if you see that feature selection. So I've got a few libraries in there that are my custom libraries. There's a Kevin library, there's a training class library, and then there's the KMC standard library. Well, the KMC standard library has over 500 applications already built in there for you to choose from. You filter those out by going through the feature selection. So he's going to pick single duct VAV, it's in English, and he's going to cheat and go right back down to the back 9001, because that'll start filtering out a little bit quicker. VAV reheat type is modulating. Once you start getting your library of your own things in there, you can filter through your own library as well. So if you've got an exhaust fan on a VAV, if you've got an air handler with a VFD, with economizer, with dehumidification, you can put that in there and start filtering out your own library. So that way when you go back and want to choose a different application for what you're doing, you already have that. You've already done it once before. Why reinvent the wheel? You can just use it again. So he's got down to a few options here. We've got the VAV, no fan, modulating reheat with position feedback, 9001E. So add that one. There we go. So he's chose that one. So now over here on the right, you have a bill of material that you can look at for that 9001 with all the part numbers in there, with all the different net sensors you might need. It does all that for you as soon as you choose that application. It also will give you a sequence of operations, gives you the, no, you're fine. That's the data, yeah, it doesn't matter. Sequence of operations for how that VAV application works. So if your technician calls from the field and says, I don't know what this thing's doing, well, you can send him this, because this is what it's doing. You can just close all tabs, that's fine. So the data sheet also is in there for that particular thing. If you notice on the right over there in your resource manager under jobs, so there's that training 1. This is the job I'm on. So under that training 1, I've got this VAV, no fan, modulating reheat. So all the stuff that we're looking at, that we're pulling up, it saves for you automatically, makes a job folder for you. And it's going to organize it for you. So you can export that, put it on a USB stick or whatever, give it to your technician. Here's everything that's on that job. Submittal drawings are in DWG, PDF. Wiring diagram for the installation, if your install person needs one.
And they're also in Visio too.
Yes, also in Visio. Thank you for playing along. So we've chosen that VAV single app. We also need to do we have this back 9301 CE. Let's go reset the filter and find an application for him. So we're going to use rooftop unit. Yep, that's great. Device model, 9301. Now, what does the 9301 CE stand for? Clock and Ethernet, correct. You know, if I'm in class, I usually do have prizes for stuff like that, yeah. So he's going through and drilling down and finding an application for us. He's changing it up, doing something different. I see how you are. So now we've got one for the rooftop unit. Now, we've also got this library name. Go to training class.
All right.
So there's a couple different, these are all custom applications. So anything that goes in that 5901 is going to be a custom application, right? So the standard application does not apply to the 5901. We have to come up with a program for that 5901. So we've made a few that you can use. There's a rooftop unit with floor heat. There's AHU with constant volume. There's an AHU with a VFD fan, modulating cooling, modulating heating. So pick one of those is fine.
Here, this one.
Hit next. Excellent. Okay, so now he's picked, he's on the AHU modulating cooling and heating. So the only thing that's going to fit with that is that AHU1. So you can drag and drop that guy over there. If you had multiple ones, you could make a device template and say, okay, I got 5 of those right now. We want all 5 of those to use that same application. So it would just create 5 more and do the device IDs and increment your names as well. All your set points are in there that you need to use if you wanted to change those. So go to the rooftop unit and drag and drop that guy over there. Yep, perfect. Same thing, if we had multiple rooftop units, we could add, at this point, create a device template and add a bunch of them. Now the VAV,
Sorry, just
What'd you-
messing around.
okay, I see how you are. That's fine. So if we click on the VAV application, now you could drag one over there, or you could drag that whole network over there. And it's going to do all of your device IDs and names. Change your cooling max flows, change all your set points right there. Do everything before you get ready to deploy the controller. So when you deploy, everything is set. All your set points are set, all of your min, max coolings, everything. Do all that before you even download it.
Now you can also change the name
Yep.
or the device instance and write those out if you need to change them. Let's say you set them up with Connect Lite, but it's not right, so you can mass change them from here.
So you can hit all 3, so we can deploy everything at once now.
So it went out to the network, looked for a device instance and then a model match, and then since it found it, it check marked them to deploy.
So the custom application wizard is where you would go and add something that you want to continue to use over and over again, like we did for this air handling unit. Something that you want to put in your library.
Or if, let's say you use our standard app for a VAV, but you've got to add an exhaust fan or some fin tube to it, you can come over here, write your code in the controller, get it the way you want it, and then start a custom application here.
So he's going to name that something that would make sense to what it's doing. And your application ID can be whatever it is you'd like for it to be. We have some cryptic codes for ours. Decide what library you want to put it in. If you want a new library, you can add a new library. I've always wanted the Greg library.
Yep. We have a Kevin, so.
I got a Kevin, yeah, might as well have a Greg. So in the features, you can add a feature. So these are all the features it has right now. I want to add a new feature. What's that new feature? An exhaust fan? Put on the name, put like miscellaneous,
Oh, okay.
and then under the value, put exhaust fan. There you go. So now when you go through and filter, you'll have that miscellaneous exhaust fan. So if you're looking for a VAV program, you go, okay, I need all this stuff, and I also need an exhaust fan. I've got that too. Okay, hit next. Oh wait, hit to include documents up there. So this page is where you would add what you're going to audit. And we're going to get into audit when we come back from break. But basically, an audit is telling you, say, what set points and what settings do I want to save, the properties, to do a snapshot of this. So when I come back, I can come back 6 months later and run an audit again and say, hey, you guys have changed all of these settings in here. I can say, well, let's just put them back the way they were when I left the job. So this is where you choose what you want to audit.
You can also add points that you want to configure. So on this screen here, these points, oops, that are across the top, you can check mark them here or take some off.
Yep.
The reason it's populated already is because we started with a standard app.
Right.
So
It's
it
a-
took what we're configuring in our standard app and just added them for you. So it's a little shortcut.
Yep. So it already knows what that application is.
Yeah. If you created one from scratch, this would be blank and you'd have to go through and check your own stuff.
Mm-hmm. We're going to hit the deploy button. We're going to download everything while it's gone, which takes only about 10 minutes to download what we have right here. It doesn't take very long.
Yeah.
And then this afternoon, we're going to talk a little bit more about, we're going to get into do an audit and show you exactly what that does. And we'll show you the compare feature in Connect, which is really neat. Kind of one of those undocumented, secret, hidden features that we have, but it's just really cool. And then we're going to get into Niagara and discuss Niagara compatibility mode. That's a new feature that we have in Connect and why we need Niagara compatibility mode. And then we're going to get into Niagara, pull in the points, make some graphics, show you how all that works using Converge. Converge is our Niagara plugin.